Changing. Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for starting your Thursday with us. We begin our show in Washington, where late last night, the Supreme Court temporarily blocked a lower court order that would require the Trump administration to release billions of dollars in foreign aid by midnight Wednesday. It comes as the Trump administration said yesterday that it is eliminating more than 90% of the U.S. Agency for International Development's foreign aid contracts and $60 billion in overall U.S. assistance around the world.
Chief Justice John Roberts paused a Washington-based federal judge's order. That order would require the Trump administration to pay foreign aid funds to contractors and grant recipients. Now, that ruling followed the president's first cabinet meeting of his second term. Also in attendance was Elon Musk, who, while not a cabinet member, spoke for nearly 10 minutes straight during the meeting. The president praised Musk's efforts in slashing the federal workforce and said more work was needed to be done to shrink the government.
We're cutting down government. We're cutting down the size of government. We have to. We're bloated. We're sloppy. We have a lot of people that aren't doing their job. We have a lot of people that don't exist.
NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist joins us now. Aaron, good morning. So let's start with that cabinet meeting. What were some of the key takeaways there? And what did we actually hear from Elon Musk himself?
Well, Joe and Savannah, it was a lengthy cabinet meeting. Typically, these things we only get to see maybe 5 minutes of. And yesterday we heard the president talking, answering questions, effectively holding a news conference for more than an hour, surrounded by his cabinet secretaries and, as you noted, Elon Musk. The conversation was wide-ranging on topics from the southern border to the Russia-Ukraine war, to a gold card, an immigration visa card that the president talked about wanting to put in place to bring business people into the United States from other countries. But as you noted, Elon Musk really was a center of attention during this meeting. He spoke for several minutes about the work that he and his DOGE team have been doing over the last month or so that this administration has been in place. He said that he does believe that he'll be able to find $1 trillion in savings through the cuts that he's been making to jobs and to spending in federal agencies. He said that his team is really a support function for the secretaries who ultimately are responsible for making sure that they're downsizing their agencies. He also talked about that email that went out last weekend asking people to send in those 5 bullet points of the work they had done in the week before. And he said that ultimately that was a pulse check. It wasn't necessarily something that was going to result in terminations, but just to see if people were actually responding to requests for information. I want you to hear a little bit of what Elon Musk said during his comments in that cabinet meeting yesterday.
The overall goal here with the DOGE team is to help address the enormous deficit. We simply cannot sustain as a country $2 trillion deficits. If we don't do this, America will go bankrupt. That's why it has to be done. Also, we will make mistakes. We won't be perfect, but when we make a mistake, we'll fix it very quickly. I think that email perhaps was best interpreted as a performance review, but actually it was a pulse check review. Do you have a pulse?
President Trump also said that DOGE has cut billions of dollars in the work that it's been doing so far. He said that the effort to find waste, fraud, and abuse is bearing fruit, although he did also say that some fraud we're not going to be able to prove. That was part of the comments the president made yesterday. Elon Musk saying that he wants to make sure that the government keeps jobs that are essential and keeps people who are performing well at only those essential jobs, Joe and Savannah.
And Aaron, right alongside that news, though, we do understand there's been this new memo from the White House directing federal agencies to prepare for even more large-scale layoffs. What do we know about those?
So President Trump early on did sign an executive order telling the agencies to prepare for these mass layoffs, as we've been calling them. And this memo really was an outline of specifics that the agencies need to execute in order to meet that expectation. I think the line was that they needed to make a maximum elimination of functions that are not required by law. That is the expectation. So that means cutting manpower significantly, and it also means cutting other expenditures that these agencies have been making over the years. This memo really going into great detail about making sure that they were eliminating repetition in different agencies, eliminating unnecessary layers of supervision in some cases, meaning not just getting rid of people who are sort of doing the day-to-day customer service stuff, but also if there are different layers of management, consolidating some of those layers so that there are fewer people needed to carry out these functions. It talked about automating systems, and it required the agencies to submit their phase 1 plans to effectuate this massive reduction in staffing by the 13th of March, and a phase 2 plan for what to do going forward, how to make sure that they are operating efficiently by mid-April to be ready to be executed by the end of September. And guys, that could also include shutting down entire offices or subcomponents of different agencies. In some cases, also maybe moving some of those agencies out of Washington, D.C., if they can find real estate that is cheaper.
Aaron, very quickly, let's walk through the Supreme Court's actions yesterday. A little background: a federal judge had ordered the Trump administration to release billions of dollars in federal aid funding. SCOTUS pressed pause. What happens next?
So the agencies, the aid organizations that have been receiving that funding went to the court and said that the government has not been in compliance with previous orders to unfreeze that money, to release some $2 billion in aid for organizations that are operating around the world. So the judge gave them a deadline of midnight last night, the government, to release that money. The government came back and said it can't do it that quickly. It's not like flipping a switch, that they're working as hard as they can to review some of these contracts and these disbursements. The judge really didn't seem to believe that. And so this was an appeal that the government made to the Supreme Court. Chief Justice John Roberts writing the order that demand that midnight deadline be paused, and gave both sides, the government and the aid organizations, until noon today to submit additional information. And then we'll see, Joe and Savannah, what the Supreme Court does after this. This is really the first time that one of these many court challenges the administration has seen over the last month has made it to the Supreme Court level and actually had some action taken, in this case, by the Chief Justice.
Aaron, thank you so much.
Well, President Trump is expected to meet with the British Prime Minister later today, with ending the Russia-Ukraine war at the top of their agenda.
The meeting comes amid a deepening split between the U.S. and Europe over the issue and how a peace deal should be handled. Speaking ahead of the talks, British leader said that the U.S. must provide security guarantees to Ukraine to deter Russia from invading again.
NBC News international correspondent Kelly Kobaya joins us from London. Kelly, good morning. So how do we think President Trump will respond to this call for more security assurances for Ukraine? What can we expect?
Well, the British Prime Minister actually spoke to reporters on his flight to the U.S. yesterday, and he went into a little more detail on what that security guarantee would be. He said he wants the president to agree to a backstop guarantee. In other words, Europe would take the lead on securing a peace deal with troops on the ground. The British leader has already said that British troops would be part of that. They would defend Ukraine and deter Russia. But he said they would need U.S. air and logistical backup and would look to the U.S. for that. Now, President Trump had this to say about any potential U.S. involvement in securing peace in Ukraine. Take a listen.
I'm not going to make security guarantees beyond very much. We're going to have Europe do that because it's we're talking about Europe as their next door neighbor. But we're going to make sure everything goes well.
So does that include this detail, this backstop idea? We don't really know at this point. The president did add that the presence of American workers on Ukrainian soil, if this minerals deal goes forward, would provide automatic security. Guys, the British Prime Minister is expected at the White House shortly after noon Eastern today, with a news conference to follow around 2 p.m. Savannah, Joe.
Kelly, let's talk more about the minerals deal. The president said yesterday Ukraine's President Zelensky is going to visit the White House tomorrow to sign off on that deal. What do we know about this agreement and this visit, given the recent tensions we've seen between both leaders? Is this a done deal?
Well, so we haven't had any details made public yet, but some of this has sort of crept out in different forms. Ukraine's prime minister told Ukrainian TV there would be an investment fund for Ukraine's reconstruction, that Kyiv and Washington would manage it on equal terms, and Ukraine would contribute half of future proceeds from state-owned mineral, oil, and gas resources toward that fund for projects inside Ukraine. Now, the New York Times has cited a draft document and is reporting that the U.S. would own the maximum amount of the fund allowed under U.S. law, but we don't know what that is, and not necessarily all of it. On top of all of this, President Zelensky has said it's too early to talk about money and that Ukraine needs security guarantees from the U.S. That isn't part of this deal yet. So we'll see how that plays out once the two leaders meet. Savannah, Joe.
Kelly, all this comes as relations between Washington and Moscow continue to thaw. U.S. and Russian diplomats are actually meeting again today following that initial gathering that we saw in Saudi Arabia last week. This time it's in Istanbul, Turkey. What are the focus of these talks?
Yeah, and this apparently is a working group meeting. The State Department says Ukraine is not on the agenda, that the meeting is about restoring diplomatic missions. Russia has echoed that message. Both sides have expelled staff and limited adding new staff at their respective missions over the past decade. A State Department spokesman said that the constructiveness of the talks will become apparent very quickly. His words. He said that either issues will get resolved or they won't, and we'll know soon if Russia is really willing to engage in good faith. And it's worth keeping in mind that Russian President Vladimir Putin said earlier this week that, well, he seemed to put the brakes a little bit on a quick ceasefire deal in Ukraine, saying that nothing could be achieved without restoring trust between Russia and Ukraine. This series of meetings, according or what the Russians say they hope will be a series of meetings, is supposed to move forward, make progress on that front, guys.
All right, Kelly, thank you.
Now to the budget battle on Capitol Hill. Republican leaders are facing a showdown over key pieces of President Trump's agenda and how to pay for it. House Republicans did score a win Tuesday when they adopted a fiscal framework laying out plans to enact Mr. Trump's priorities in one single bill. They now have to try to compromise with their Senate counterparts who have their own version of a budget blueprint.
All this is teeing up a big fight over things like extending Trump's 2017 tax cuts. Now, some lawmakers are already drawing lines in the sand over the potential impact on the deficit and certain policies they would like to see in a final bill. But still, House Speaker Mike Johnson appeared hopeful after meeting with President Trump and Senate Leader John Thune yesterday.
Very productive. Everybody is energized and excited about where we are. We know we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we're very optimistic we're going to get this mission accomplished.
NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us now with more. So, Julie, if Republicans in both chambers can manage to unify behind one massive bill, then they could pretty much cut Democrats out of the situation totally through the process we talk about known as reconciliation. They wouldn't have to worry about a Senate filibuster, about getting 60 votes. So what are some of the biggest Trump agenda policies they still need to compromise on?
Well, the two bills are extremely different. Good morning, Savannah and Joe. And the biggest item really are those tax cuts, because the House version extends them. Senate leaders want to make it permanent. And that, of course, would contribute even further to the deficit and maybe be tied up in some procedural hurdles down the line. You see what's in the House framework on your screen. This is something senators were pouring cold water on all day yesterday. I talked to Leader Thune when he came back from the White House. He seemed far less upbeat than you saw Speaker Johnson there. And I think that's because President Trump endorsed the House plan, that one big, beautiful bill doing everything, taxes, funding President Trump's agenda on the border, including those mass deportations, energy, the military, all of that is in the House version. Senators want to do it in two different tranches, in part because it'll make it easier in terms of the deficit. And also it unlocks funding for immigration and those deportations right now, whereas this process will take several months. By the way, guys, when I asked Leader Thune about how aggressive they're going to be moving on these budget resolutions, he said, don't forget the government funding deadline, which is in 15 days from now. They have to deal with that first. They need bipartisan compromise before they can even continue turning back to the Republican-only funding bill.
Julie, what are some of the top concerns for Republican lawmakers, specifically in purple states, and those who might be more politically moderate when it comes to this fight?
Yeah, moderates are definitely concerned about impacts to entitlements, Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP food stamp benefits. And it's not just those moderates that are worried about it. It's actually conservatives, too. The thing is, though, conservatives want more cut from the deficit. So does Elon Musk. So does Trump. You can't really get there unless you start creeping into those entitlements. If you got a community or constituents that really rely on any of those benefits, you're certainly hearing an earful. And you have those from Senator Josh Hawley, for example, of Missouri, hardly a moderate, to the New York lawmakers like Mike Lawler, for example, who I talked to extensively this week, who just won't go for those kinds of cuts. The thing is, though, Elon Musk and Trump promised at least $2 trillion in cuts. Again, it'll be really hard to get there unless you do start slashing from these necessary buckets. Speaker Johnson, for his part, said they're not going to touch that. He thinks they're going to find it just in the fraud, maybe the workers who provide those benefits that they can cut around. I don't think that's anywhere close to $2 trillion, though.
All right, Julie, we'll see what the math does. All right, thanks so much.
Well, on Wednesday, the Supreme Court heard arguments in a case that could change the standard for workplace discrimination lawsuits. An Ohio woman alleges she was discriminated against at her job because she is straight.
Marlene Ames brought a claim against the Ohio Department of Youth Services after she says a lesbian woman was unfairly given the job opening that they were both seeking based on her sexuality. Ames also says she was then demoted and her job was given to a gay man. But the agency says she was demoted because new leadership wanted to restructure its operations, and Ames was seen as, quote, difficult to work with.
NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos is here with more on this. Danny, good morning. So based on the hearing yesterday, the Supreme Court seems like potentially it's likely here that they're going to allow her to pursue this claim at the state level. What's important to understand here?
So you have a case here where it's called reverse discrimination because the plaintiff is alleging that she's a member of a majority group, and instead of the traditional discrimination case where discrimination is against a minority, she's claiming that as a majority member, her position was given to a gay person, and then the job that she wanted was given to a gay person. And the courts, at least some circuits, not the entire country, some circuit courts require an additional showing for majority plaintiffs. They have to show background circumstances. For example, either that the person who made the decision was a member of that minority group, in this case gay, or there's a pattern of discrimination. And she really didn't show either of those things. So the issue really is, do majority plaintiffs have to show the same thing as minority plaintiffs when it comes to discrimination, or do majority plaintiffs have an additional heightened burden to show that there was discrimination, intentional discrimination against the majority? And in the court's words, this is a very rare circumstance, and so that's why they have to make that additional showing.
So the lower court argued they needed to be this sort of higher bar, but yesterday during the Supreme Court hearing, it seemed like justices maybe disagreed with that. What did we hear yesterday?
Yes, exactly right. It seemed like the justices, and you never really can rely on this because the idea of appellate court judges, what they do is they play devil's advocate. They often ask these probing questions that may seem to give you an insight into where they're leaning, but often they're just playing Socrates. They're using the Socratic method to challenge the litigants. But I would agree that the court appeared to lean towards the plaintiff in this case. But again, you really never know until the opinion comes out.
Danny, if the Supreme Court did rule narrowly in her favor, what could happen? What are the implications?
The implications, I want to stress here that the implications, there are no implications for minority plaintiffs in discrimination cases. In fact, this issue is not even before the court. Their standard, their burden in bringing a discrimination case will remain exactly the same. The limited issue before the court is whether a majority plaintiff, somebody in the majority, has to make that additional showing to get into court, or under Title VII, the anti-discrimination law, do they need to make only the exact same showing as any other minority plaintiffs? In other words, is the burden for all plaintiffs in discrimination cases, no matter what group they identify with, the same?
All right. Danny Ceballos, thank you very much. Well, now to some sad news on one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Two-time Oscar winner Gene Hackman and his wife were found dead in their Santa Fe, New Mexico home. He was 95 years old. Now, the cause of death has not been confirmed, but according to the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, it is not believed to be foul play. Police also say they found Hackman's dog deceased during a wellness check at their home on Wednesday afternoon. An investigation is ongoing. NBC News Now anchor Gotti Schwartz has more on Hackman's life and legacy.
If the car chase scene in The French Connection set the gold standard for all Hollywood chases to follow, then its star, Gene Hackman, has come to define what a true actor is. With the uncanny ability to vanish into any role, Hackman drew from within to put nuance into all the tough guy roles he portrayed.
All right, Popeye's here.
Is that gun just for show?
A child of a broken home who lied about his age so he could join the Marines, Hackman worked many odd jobs, all to finance auditions.
Every day was like a new challenge. It was going out and trying to get that job and doing those auditions, and I loved it.
Kicked out of the Pasadena Playhouse, it wasn't until Hackman was 36, playing the simple-minded Buck Barrow in Bonnie and Clyde, when Hollywood took notice. Soon after, his tough-as-nails good cop, Popeye Doyle, in The French Connection earned him his first Oscar.
The prestige involved with an Oscar means that you have been in a couple of films that have made some money and that they can take a chance on you.
And Hollywood kept taking chances. Hackman won his second Oscar for playing a bad cop in 1992's Unforgiven. But he felt the tough guy roles never really pushed him.
We're cast so close to type in films that that you can only do so much within your own persona.
I hope you're hungry. I could eat a horse. Radish.
Towards the end of his career, Hackman found he preferred comedy for the challenge.
Comedy's harder because, you know, it isn't arbitrary. If they don't laugh, it doesn't work.
The problem is...
Always shrugging off the label of movie star, Hackman remained an actor in his own words.
I guess movie star is Robert Redford and Paul Newman and kind of guys that I idolized or visualized when I was a real young guy.
Moving to Santa Fe after retiring, Hackman continued to work as a novelist, publishing his 5th book in 2013, always letting his actions speak for him on the written page and the silver screen. Gotti Schwartz, NBC News, Los Angeles.
What a great look back. Our thanks to Gotti for that. Well, let's get a check on your morning news now. Weather, that sweet taste of spring might be coming to an end pretty soon for the Northeast, which honestly we were expecting. It's way too early. It's February. Angie Lassman has more. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Whoa, Savannah. We got a couple of days until then. We still are going to have temperatures in the 50s. Yes, good morning to you. But the chillier air is on the way. And we've got some rain and a bit of snow for folks across the Northeast, too. And that includes the Great Lakes as well. This is all part of a clipper system. So folks in Pittsburgh, stretching to the south and west, dealing with some of that rain. And even along the I-95 corridor this morning, we're going to be dealing with that. Notice the snow showers that stick around on the backside of this, but that system kicks out, and we've got our next clipper system that's going to race across parts of the Great Lakes. This will leave us again with the chance for some light snow accumulations for the most part. A couple of spots could see some localized higher amounts, but also a little bit of rain as we get through the day tomorrow. Notice by the time Saturday rolls around, if you have outdoor plans across the Northeast, we'll see some of that snow focused across the Adirondacks, the White Mountains. Great for folks that are going to try and get out a couple more of these weekends of winter sports. We'll see those chilly winds stay in place, too, for the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. So the snow showers will be wrapped up, but it'll remain cold and temperatures will be falling through the weekend. Here's a look at those snowfall totals between now and Saturday, where you see the brighter pinks, the brighter purples. That's up to a foot of snow. So again, downwind of the lakes, maybe the higher elevations of the mountains could see some substantial snowfall along with the upper peninsula of Michigan, but otherwise maybe an inch or two for folks across this region. The bigger story is the big picture look at our really warm temperatures. It's extensive where we're dealing with those higher than average values when it comes to our afternoon highs today. We've got 80s for Phoenix. We've got upper 60s for Wichita, mid 70s across much of Texas. Even Des Moines today, you're running 21 degrees above normal for this afternoon. Your high is going to be 60 degrees. It doesn't end tomorrow for the most part. We start to inch in some of this chillier air. You can see Green Bay and then Lexington, St. Louis, all sitting below normal, but remaining mainly closer to average for this time of year. But we keep the warmth across the Southeast and across parts of the Rockies. 64 degrees tomorrow for Denver, mid 70s still in Dallas. If you're looking at the Northeast, we're going to hang on to those 60s for Washington, D.C. Now, looking ahead to early next week, specifically late weekend into early next week, we see a big temperature fall across the Northeast. Notice the 30s that are in place Sunday and Monday in Boston. That doesn't last long. We'll get back to the mid 40s by Tuesday. You can see Columbus, similar story there. We go from the 30s on Sunday to the 50s on Tuesday. 46 degrees in St. Louis on Sunday, and we head back to the mid-60s on Tuesday. Even parts of the South that are seeing those 70s right now, you're going to drop down to the 50s. Check out Little Rock on Sunday, 57 degrees. We get the mid-60s as we kick off our next work week, and then we're back to the 70s by Tuesday. So moral of the story is we're on this roller coaster ride of temperatures. This, of course, means that we've got snow melting, and quite quickly. Last month, we had about nearly 35% of the country covered with snow. Now it's down to 19%. So you can see that we are transitioning into spring, and it sure is going to feel like it over the next couple of days, Savannah. One thing to note, we do have a wind advisory out in Southern California. We've got those gusty Santa Ana winds today, and the humidity values are down to about 5 to 15%. So heads up there. We'll see the gusts anywhere from 40 to 60 miles per hour. We, of course, could use a little rain in this area, but those Santa Ana winds are going to warm our temperatures up. So it's not just the eastern half of the country, too. The south Southwest, specifically Southern California, seeing 87 degrees in Los Angeles today. You can see high 80s in Escondido. We've got Palm Springs in the mid 80s, so warm and windy for our friends there.
Oh my goodness, is that also fire concern?
Yes, so we do have that winter. We'll watch for that with the low humidity and those elevated winds and warm temperatures.
All right, thanks, Angie. A lot going on.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.